Hi, and welcome to Restorative Realm Studio. My name is Heather Shipley. Today we will be doing kind of a part 2 on the thoracic and shoulder blade stuff that we started in part 1. And we will start with a little bit of review of what we covered in part 1 and then go from there. So hopefully everyone has been practicing the things that I taught you previously, and you have a little more awareness of the ways that your back and shoulder blades and arms can move together. We're just going to build on that a little bit. So we're going to start off with the blanket roll again. So tripod between feet and pelvis. Arms resting out. And I want to emphasize and highlight a couple things that I didn't last time. One is just ask yourself as you go through this exercise, and you can start to move, fall off to the left, let the bottom of your sternum swing to the left. Let your head fall to the right, that kind of thing. And then switch sides. But as you're doing this exercise, ask yourself if your low back is trying to help. So for whatever reason, our low back spinal extensors get involved in helping us with things. Only they don't really need to be helping. Like sometimes when we're trying to use our glutes and hamstrings, our hip extensors, and stand up from a squat, I notice that people's low backs get really overactive, and that can be part of a pain cycle in your low back. Has anyone ever realized, I have a really sore low back, even after just like having an intense conversation? Like, wow, did my low back muscles just try to help my brain? Anyway, so that is one thing to watch for, is low back should be completely relaxed. It does not need to be going into extension, right? You don't want to be lifting in your low back off of the roll. Okay. Second thing to really ask yourself is how well are you doing at letting your arms be heavy into the floor? So for me, if I've really relaxed my arm and I'm focused on like my left arm being heavy onto the floor right now, as I fall off with my pelvis to the right and as the bottom of my sternum swings to the right, that's my torso is turning to the right. I am leaving my left arm behind, and I'm looking towards my left arm that I'm leaving behind. Bye. That means in order to do that, my pec muscle is having to lengthen, and some other things are having to let go. How well are you able to do that? On my right arm, when I turn to my left and I let my right arm stay heavy, I can actually feel a slight pull kind of deep in. I'm feeling my brachial plexus. I'm feeling things around my nerves get gently lengthened. If you are feeling a nerve thing, don't push real hard into that. Just kind of move into the edge of it and then back out. The last thing we want to do is pull on nerves. That would irritate, and that would tell your body, go ahead and tighten those muscles back up to protect. So that is one of my issues with sometimes just static stretches or end range stretching that's where you're not really attuned to what's going on. We don't want to override what our body is doing, in that it's really intelligent. There's reasons why our brain is telling our muscles to stay at a certain length. Often, not always. Sometimes it's just, oh, we thought you wanted us there. Other times, it's protecting. It is not good for our blood vessels or our nerves to get stretched. And your body, I mean, there will just be a conversation between parts of your brain, and that will just be a no-go. That your cerebellum is like, no, we're not doing that. So that muscle will stay short. And there's a good reason for it. And there's something else that needs to happen first, maybe, before you get that mobility back. So anyway, long story short, just be gentle with this. And if you feel something that feels like nerve, treat it with respect and don't push hard into it. Okay. Continuing with kind of what you're feeling in front of your shoulder, armpit area, we're going to do one more variation on this roll. So we had the arms, like, oops, I did it wrong. We had the arms like this last time, right? We're going to do a little bit different arms. You're going to kind of bring your fingertips to the back of your head. I might just do this one arm at a time because I feel like I'm going to be blocking the camera view. As you fall off to the left, I want you to reach your right elbow up towards the ceiling, right? As I fall off now to the right, I'm reaching my left elbow towards the ceiling. We're engaging some other muscle groups like serratus anterior, but we're making sure we're engaging from a place of being upright through our thoracic spine, engaged through some of the muscles that run from our shoulder blade down to our mid-back, like lower traps specifically, and we're keeping that shoulder blade upright. It's not coming forwards, it's staying more of a posterior tilt. And so just give that a try, moving back and forth off each side of the roll. Just really think about reaching. It's like you're just reaching the elbow up, that little extra. Same type of thing like if I were to tell you to just put both arms straight up towards the ceiling. And then how do you make your arms taller when your elbows are straight, right? We're not getting our hands closer and further from the ceiling by bending elbows. We're letting our shoulder blades skate forwards around the sides of our rib cage and then go back on the back side of our rib cage more closer to our spine. That's some of the same movement. By making you put your hand behind your head, I'm constraining some of the bad habits that I see sometimes when I cue people to engage serratus, that they tend to, shoulder blades come up towards the ears, and some engagement of things like lower traps can happen. So, hand behind head, falling off to one side, which helps cue your spine to get into a better position and facilitates that shoulder blade staying in a posterior tilt. And then reach. And you're kind of staring at your elbow pit, right? So you're not forgetting about your head, letting it fall to the left, fall to the right. But just really actively reaching, efforting a little bit through the arm to reach the elbow. Okay, so played around with that a little bit. Let's see. Let's do a couple other things here on the roll. If your spine is getting uncomfortable being on the blanket roll, you can either soften that roll, decrease the diameter, or you could just lie on the carpet if you would like to. Okay, let's do a little bit of more direct scapular muscle engagement. So you're going to bring your arms out like you're making the letter T, but you're actually, okay, you're gonna make fists and put the thumb side of your fist into the floor if you can. So that calls for opening up, being wide through the collarbones, right? That calls for shoulders back, that posterior tilt in the shoulder blades. If that is feeling like too much strain in your shoulder joint, just try the back of your hands against the floor. If you want to add that little bit of external rotation through your arm and that extra cueing to your shoulder blades to be tilted back, you can do that. And then you're just going to press both your hands or fists into the floor. So you should feel muscles that run from your shoulder blade to your spine turning on right now in your middle back. And we're just being gentle here. Really, what I'd like you to think about most of all is how relaxed is your neck. So if there's a lot of, if you're keep fighting this shoulder blade kind of creeping up towards your ears type thing, or shoulder blades wanting to pop forwards, just means you need to just take it back a step. Don't try as hard. So you're breaking some habits where your body has learned to, well, let's throw in some upper traps, let's throw in some pec, let's help. But no, we're just trying to use back muscles. What can these muscles do to help our shoulder blades come towards each other? Nothing. So no thanks. You can stay resting. So holding for 15 seconds, relaxing, and then getting into position, pressing gently again. You can even do a little chin tuck, not efforting, just kind of check in. Can you be a little bit, almost like a little bobblehead, just really relaxed? You don't need to be efforting through your neck and face. Okay, so that's the first position, like the letter T. Then we're going to a Y, which for those with tight lats, muscles that run down to your low back, but start here and kind of wrap through close under your armpit. This is going to be more of a challenge. You might need to actually bring the ground up to you. Grab a couple books to put your fists on instead of all the way to the floor. But if it's comfortable for you, go ahead and come into the Y. It could be a wider Y or a narrower Y, whatever feels good for your shoulder joints. And then go ahead and push again. Neck relaxed, low back relaxed. Sometimes if our lats are tight, you start to arch your low back, and don't let that happen. Bring the ground up to you if you need to. We're starting to recruit our lower traps versus our mid traps here, which are a little smaller and sometimes a little weaker or kind of just turned off. on people. So again, go gently. I'd rather have you engage with 10% effort, but do it correctly and cleanly than smash into the ground and have all sorts of other muscles turning on that shouldn't be involved. All right, and then the last one, if you can, straight up overhead. Neck relaxed, shoulders are not creeping up by your ears. They're staying down. About 10 seconds to 15 seconds of a effort. And then rest. And then go ahead and do that one more time. When you come up overhead, I would suggest not coming narrower than your shoulder width. And some of you might just not even want to go there. You might stay a little wider. Really, really listen. Don't allow any pinching in your shoulder joints. Okay. One more thing while we're on this roll. Bring your hands together, palms together, straight up towards the ceiling. And we're gonna like open our palms, like open like a book. And feel that kind of brings your shoulder blades down, down on your spine, so closer to your pelvis. And then close the book and open the book the other way. It's like the spine of the book just switched. Right? And so you're wrapping the backs of your hands together. Feel that bring your shoulder blades up towards your ears. And just go back and forth with that a little bit. Bring the palms together, open the book. Bring your palms together again, open the book like the other way. So the backs of your hands are together. Really minimal effort here. But I just want to pair shoulder blade and arm movements in kind of a different plane of motion than we have been. And again, let some of the muscles that we didn't know we were clenching relax. They get a chance to lengthen and shorten and to breathe, honestly. That feels good to them. Okay. We're going to do one more really nice movement. Actually, first a stretch and then one more movement that really gets to some of the forearm tension in people. And if you've ever had kind of pain here, maybe or maybe not, was carpal tunnel or been flirting with that, this is going to be a really good one for you. Okay, so we're going to come off the roll. So roll to one side. Take the blanket away. Okay, perfect. First of all, we're going to do a passive into active stretch for forearm muscles. I'm going to do it first in my left hand. So you're going to use your right hand and really put palm on palm, getting the palm and the fingers and the thumb. Straighten out your elbow, your left elbow, and just gently pull back. So we're moving into a stretch for the flexors of the forearm, the anterior forearm. So you're pulling back and gently stretching. You're thinking of bringing all your 5 fingernails back towards your forearm. Then you're going to let go with the right hand, and you're just going to gently hold that stretch with your own extensor muscles, your wrist extensors. You're going to keep as wide as possible between your palm, like the big joint of your thumb and the joint at the base of your pinky finger. Get that as wide as possible and pull back. Hold that for about 15 seconds and then relax and just do a floppy wrist circle. And then we're going to go do the same thing on the other side. So wide, and then pull back first using your left hand to pull back on your right hand. Keep your right shoulder nice and relaxed into the floor. It doesn't need to be working. Keep your right elbow straight. Okay, let go of that passive stretch. Make it an active stretch. Keep reaching out, widening through your right palm. Keep pulling equally through all 5 fingers, trying to bring your fingernails back towards your forearm. That's probably been about 15 seconds, so go ahead and relax. Do little figure 8s or circles. Wow, it is really windy here today. I don't know if you can hear the wind whistling. My goodness. Okay, so we're gonna do one more thing now that you've really felt what it's like to widen out through that palm. You're gonna do, this is going to be like an undulatory movement. I'm just going to show you here. Your shoulder, elbow are going to keep resting into the floor. You're going to reach out as you bring your palm down towards the floor by your hip. You're going to get really wide through your fingers and then through your palm, and then as you touch the floor, or by the time you touch the floor, those fingers are going to have closed up like a little tulip closing for the night. And then as you come back the other way, wrist is bent into flexion, fingers are kind of curled until, as you get to the top, I think of this as like a little sea anemone. And then it opens and closes. Not doing the best job of explaining it. Hopefully you can just kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm going to change the direction. But what we're doing here is just a really clever way of pretty much mobilizing every single muscle of your forearm, your hand, even intrinsic muscles within your fingers. And it's been effective in a number of my patients to even deal with their beginning level carpal tunnel stuff. They're like, wow, this worked better than a lot of other things I've tried. So switch sides. Again, make sure that your shoulder and elbow are resting into the floor. Widen and then reverse, and just make it even. It is some effort. For me, it's some effort to get wide. That's the most effortful part. But make that effort even, try to minimize that. Just be gentle with that. Almost just think wide. more than like, efforting even a 5 out of 10. Just let it become wide. And let it be very smooth. You're trying to just be really like an ocean wave. Very undulatory. Okay, very good. So we're going to come up to a seated position. We have one more thing. This is going to get hips involved a little bit more. I want you to get into a side sitting position like this. So if you want to mirror me, I'll say my lefts and rights so that it will make sense to you. So you're sitting more on your right glute and your right hip. Hopefully your left hip is somewhere close to the carpet. Take note, it should be closer by the time we get done with this. So we're working with how well your hips move. You can have a hand on the floor. It's going to be kind of in a line. If you think left hip, right hand, you'll be right on. And if you think of your right middle finger as kind of being an extension of that line, that'll get your hand oriented just about right. So it's okay to put some weight into that hand. We're going to start with directing this from the shoulder blade. So you stay where you are. I'm probably going to move. Okay. So from the side, you can see a little bit better. You might need something under your hand too. I have kind of lanky arms, so I don't need anything, but some people put their hand like on a thick book. Anyway, from the side, you're going to be able to see what I'm doing a little better. I want you to think of bring your right shoulder blade forwards, right? And that starts to round your spine. So you're going to look towards your left hip, down towards your left hip. And then I want you to think of bringing that shoulder blade back into a posterior tilt and let that bring the rest of you with it. So we could direct this movement. We could start with our legs and direct the movement from our hip up through our spine to our blades, to our hands. But we're going to go from the other way. So bringing that right shoulder forwards, letting that bring you into a rounded mid-back posture, and letting that rotate your trunk, even your pelvis is rotating to the left. Your left sit bone is getting closer to the floor. And then reverse that, open up through the front of that right shoulder, bring that shoulder blade into a posterior tilt. Top's going back, the bottom point of your shoulder blade is coming forwards. You might notice you're now sitting up tall. Your mid-back is an extension. You are rotated to the right. Your right sits bone is on the floor. Your left is lifted. Okay, just go back and forth with that a few times. Getting tall, slumping, looking down towards your left hip. Getting tall. Think about your elbow pit. As you get tall, the elbow pit is lined up with more like your middle finger. As you get short, as you slump, it's rotating over. It's more facing your right thigh. You might notice as you get tall and turn to the right,
your left knee is pushing into the ground, your left hip muscle is firing a little bit. That's perfect. So we are teaching again whole muscle synergies. This is really, really good. Just reminding things that need to work together, how to do so, and taking away some of the other habits that we've picked up where muscles that don't need to be working are working really hard, and all of a sudden everything is uncoordinated. It's like going down the road with gas and brake on. Like, we can get like that in our bodies through pain, injury, and our brain not knowing to go back to kind of reset our movement. Even after something's healed, we can still be kind of using that body part a little different. Why? Because our brain has a new pattern and is sitting in that pattern, and we just have to remind it, no, actually, remember these possibilities. They're good. Okay. Switch sides. If this is too much of a challenge to your hips to side sit, you could bring in a bolster, or since I have this blanket roll here, use it, and you could actually sit on it with either both sit bones or just one. So let's see. We're now in left side sit for you, right side sit for me. This is confusing. You're gonna put your left hand down, right hip, left hand. Nice line there. Left foot is by right knee. Here we go. And you're gonna start by bringing that left shoulder forwards and let that roll all the rest of you forwards and to the right. Right sit bone is getting closer to the floor as you're turning to the right. You're looking down at your right hip. And then that shoulder goes the other way. Get out of the forward tilt and let that bring your torso, bring your pelvis with it. Get tall. You could even have your right hand on your pelvis, and it just kind of makes you aware, oh my goodness, look how much I'm moving there. So as you slump down, as you turn to the right, is your right sit bone starting to get a little closer to the floor with every repetition. Aware of being able to get a little taller as you turn to the left, shorter as you go to the right. Just is that movement kind of expanding within that range. Okay, I think one more. And that will probably do it. Okay. Well, enjoy a little more movement through your shoulder blades, through your hips, through your trunk, and I will see you next time.